Something that I get asked all the time is some form of the question, what is the best camera for my budget of X amount of dollars? And I usually respond with, well, is that your total budget or just your camera budget? And most people say that's their total budget because almost everyone starting out in video wants to get the best possible quality camera that they can afford because they assume that's what makes a good video. And trust me, I did the same thing starting out. However, there are some other important things that you'll need when starting out in video. So I'm going to show you a complete advanced level filmmaking setup that I came up with for under $3,000. Hey everyone, Camber here showing you how to use your camera to make good videos. And if $3,000 sounds like a bit much for you, I have a couple other videos I made on complete beginner filmmaking setups for $1,000 and $2,000 that I'll have linked in the description. But for those of you with a larger budget, we're gonna look at some upgraded equipment that will give you great video and audio quality that you could even use for paid work. Once you get good enough, of course. So the four things that we're gonna be covering today are the camera, the lens, the microphone, and the tripod, all of which are linked in the description. However, the one thing that is not included in the price is an SD card because SD cards can vary greatly depending on the size, capacity, and speed class ratings of the card, and that is a choice that I leave up to you. However, you can get a 128 gigabyte card for this camera for around 30 bucks. Should be plenty fast enough, and there are a lot of package deals as well that come with these SD cards. So for the camera, we have the Sony A7C, and this is an awesome little full frame camera that I've really enjoyed using. It'll give you 4K up to 24 frames per second with no crop. And the reason I bring that up is because similarly priced cameras like the Canon EOS R is also full frame with 4K at 24 frames per second, but when you shoot 4K video, it crops in 1.7 on the sensor. So that's basically making like an APS-C type camera. So for example, if you were shooting this 50 millimeters, a normal focal length, but if you were to do that same 50 millimeters at 4K on the EOS R, now it's like you're shooting 85, so that can be really limiting on your 4K video depending on how much space you have because that is really zoomed in. And another great feature is you get up to 120 frames per second in full HD, which will give you great slow motion video played back 5 times slower in a 24 frames per second timeline for a really smooth slow motion. And another great thing about this camera is that you get unlimited video recording. To compare once again with Canon, all the cameras have a 30-minute video recording limit, as do most older cameras, but a lot of the newer Sony cameras have unlimited recording, so you don't have to worry about the camera stopping on you, which I've had happen quite a few times. Even though I know it happens, sometimes I forget to restart the recording. But this, you hit record, it's gonna keep going till the battery dies or your SD card fills up. And this camera also has great autofocus with eye autofocus tracking that works awesome in all modes, 4K, full HD, 120 frames per second, all that, as well as a fully articulating touchscreen, which is one of the first cameras that Sony has come out with that feature. But the great thing with this is it's touch autofocus as well. That makes rack focus pulling really easy. You just touch it and you can have anyone who doesn't even know how to use cameras help you out and do that. My wife has helped me plenty of times in videos using that function. Because I remember when I first started out having to sit there and do manual focus, hitting the points. It makes it pretty difficult, especially if you're under a time crunch or in a live event like I've done lots of weddings, and trying to track the bride walking down the aisle with the focus the whole time can be a bit difficult, and you don't want to be like, hey, can you walk back down the aisle one more time, please? I need to get another take of that. That would not be good. But another good thing this has is touch tracking. So you can change the autofocus mode to touch tracking, and then you can click on something. Click, what am I talking about? It's not a click, it's a touch. You touch something on the screen and it'll track that object. So just say you're holding something as it moves closer or further away, and makes it really easy. Another great option if you're wanting to track someone walking towards you so you can make sure the camera's following the right person. This camera gives you lots of picture profiles as well to give you higher dynamic range with things like S-Log once you learn how to do color grading and that type of stuff. So if you're starting out, you can just use regular camera profiles, but as you learn more about color grading and all those aspects, you can get even more out of this camera with that. And finally, we also have a 5-axis stabilized sensor, so it's going to give you even better stabilization when taking videos handheld so you can get the most out of your video. And next up for the lens, we have the Sony 24-70 f4 lens. This is a great compact lens for this camera, a great range of focal lengths. This is what I like to use all the time. 24 is wide enough if you're going to be vlogging, doing any of that, you can see yourself fine. You can get all the way up to 70 to punch in closer to objects, and you have a constant f4 f4 aperture throughout the entire zoom range, which will give you a decent depth of field. And this camera has good low light performance with the full frame sensor, so f4 is really plenty for it. And another thing I like about this camera is that it also has an APS-C mode. So say for instance you're shooting 4K and you're at 70 millimeters, well, you can go to APS-C mode and it'll punch in another 1.5. So basically you could get all the way up to 105 with this zoom lens using that feature, using a smaller portion of the sensor, but it still looks great. So that's the camera and lens, which is what most people think that they need for good video. However, the often most overlooked part is sound, which is one of the most important parts, because sound is 50%, if not more, of good videos, because you can have great looking imagery, but if you have terrible audio, people are going to notice, they're probably going to click off your video, and they'll let you know if it's bad. However, if you just have kind of okay quality but really great audio, people will forgive that and they like it because the audio is super important. So for audio, we have the Sony ECM-B1M microphone. So this thing slides right into the multi-shoot interface. You tighten it down and that is it. This is a very compact mic. I've been using this for a long time. It is awesome. First off, because there's no wires for it. This thing connects directly in to the hot shoe mic, or the multi-interface shoe. It's how Sony likes to call it. And it will give you a digital signal or analog. You can choose between that. And there are multiple patterns for it as well. So just to show you an example real quick. Let's say that you're vlogging, this type of thing, talking to the camera, that's all great, blah, blah, blah. But then once you turn it around, it gets a little bit muffled because the shotgun mics are taking sound from the front. So this camera also has multiple patterns on the back. So I'm gonna change it to the circular pattern. So let's say I was going to show someone something in my office. Now I have it like this, and the sound is a lot more crisp when I'm talking from behind, so you can get good audio from all around the mic. You can switch it back. You can see the difference there once again, as well as auto and manual for your sound. So lots of options. This is a great mic to use. It's compact, it's more discreet than huge shotgun mics that you can get. And of course, it's really important to have stabilization, something to set your camera on when recording. And for that, we have the Joby Gorillapod. Now, a lot of people give this thing a bad rap, but I have loved using this. It's lightweight, it's very versatile. You can take it anywhere with you. So we have a removable head here that screws into the bottom of your camera. So now you can just leave that on the camera, and then you hook it into here, tighten it up, and you're good to go. It's made out of metal, so it's really sturdy. We have a ball head attachment, so you can get all kinds of different angles, as well as a notch on the side. So let's say you wanted to do some kind of, TikTok, Instagram, vertical video type stuff. Boom, you're good to go there. This also spins around for you here, so you can change your angles there. And these legs, obviously you can use it as a tripod, set it up, record yourself here. You can put it all kinds of places though. I've wrapped this thing around hand railings to get time lapses of all kinds of famous places throughout the world. I've hooked it up in trees before. I've hooked lights up to this. It's very versatile, lots of stuff you can use. And you might think, well, this is an advanced level setup, I need an actual tripod, but you'd be surprised what you can do with this. I've done this lots of times with my wife, taking video. You take the front two handles like that, put the back one like this, and look at that. You have a shoulder rig. Look how easy that is. And this is super stable. It looks professional too. I mean, it looks like you got an actual rig for your camera, and you're good to go. You get that with the steady shot on. I mean, this is a great setup. You can get great quality video. And this entire setup with the A7C, the 24 to 70 millimeter lens, the microphone, and the tripod will cost you $2,939. However, if you don't mind going $140 over budget, then I would definitely suggest getting this Sigma 28 to 70 f2.8 lens. Now, you don't get all the way down to 24. It's not quite as wide, but it's still wide enough to do vlogging with. But you get that constant aperture of 2.8 throughout the entire zoom range, which will give you a great depth of field with this camera, as well as better low light performance. And if you compare that with the 24 to 70 f.2 that I usually use on my A7S III, look at the size difference of those lenses, how much smaller this is. So more compact, lighter weight, really good deal. So when you pair this 28 to 70 with the A7C, it's still a really compact setup. This is awesome. I've been using this all week and I have loved this setup. It almost makes me want to use this instead of my A7S III. But this is going to give you great quality for the price, great zoom range, aperture, all that. So This will be $3,140 if you use this lens for the setup rather than the 24-70 f4 lens. And that is the advanced level filmmaker total setup with the camera, lens, microphone, and tripod for under $3,000. Unless you decide to go with the Sigma 28-70 f2.8 lens, which I totally suggest, that'd be $3,140. This is a great investment in this lens. But if you have any questions about any of these products, post them down in the comments below. I'll answer and try to clarify anything I can. But if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and watch more videos. I have lots of videos on the channel teaching you how to go from knowing absolutely nothing about making videos with these to being able to make great videos that people will even pay you for. So check that stuff out. And with that, I hope I'll see you soon.